Okay, so it sounds like the Eagles are fed up with all the struggles after back-to-back losses, with Josh Sweat absolutely going off and ripping into the defensive line and demanding change from them, while several other players seemingly called out Nick Sirianni, Sean Desai, and the coaching staff, and Sirianni actually responded to this criticism, and despite the clear issues, it seems like he's still maybe refusing to adapt and change up the play calling. But even if this is true, is there still hope for the Eagles? Because Jordan Mailata certainly thinks that there is, as he recently made a bold claim that the Eagles are destined to turn it around. Plus, he revealed that offensive coordinator Brian Johnson is looking himself in the mirror and apparently trying to make changes in his play calling. And he also talked about a fiery locker room meeting led by the Eagles captains. So we're going to talk about that and a lot more news in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So before we get into all the negative stuff in today's video, let's at least start off by wishing Fletcher a happy birthday, who turns 33 today, as we saw him celebrating here last night with this really cool cake made of edible money, watches, chains, and cigars. And I gotta give Fletch credit, he's still having a good season despite being towards the end of his career, so drop a like down below for Fletch continuing to play pretty well. You definitely can't say the same for the Eagles defense as a whole though, because even though some guys are having decent individual seasons in terms of numbers, the entire unit just collectively is not playing at a high level like they were last year, and it's been particularly bad over these past 2 weeks, giving up 42 points to the Niners and then 33 to the Cowboys, while also having a stretch of 10 straight drives across both games where they gave up 9 touchdowns and a field goal if you disregard a kneel down at the end of the Niners game. So this is a group that definitely needs to find some answers and find them fast. Now on Tuesday during Nick Sirianni's press conference, he was asked about the defensive problems, and he expressed a lot of confidence in defensive coordinator Sean Desai to turn things around, and he also explained what the Eagles' biggest problem on defense has been.
Total confidence, obviously that's why we hired him for the job, that's why I hired him for the job, in Sean, and I think really where it is, the yards pile up on you when you're giving up some third downs. And again, that's not just, that's the problem's everywhere there, right? Where we are on third down is, we got to coach them better, we got to put them in better spots, we got to detail it out for them, and we also got to execute better. So I think that's everybody's in on that. To single somebody out and single one person out is not the right. Is not the right move here. It's how do we get better as a team? But I think that's the big one's third down, and being able to get off the field in third downs. And obviously we haven't been good enough there. And like I said, that everybody's involved in that. And it starts with me.
So once again, as we've heard in the past, Sirianni defended Desai here, and he also took a lot of the blame for the defense's third down struggles, although I do think we all know that with Sirianni being an offensive-minded head coach, Desai still probably deserves the majority of the blame for the Eagles' defensive problems, especially on third down, which, as Nick said, has been their biggest issue, as the unit ranks dead last in the NFL in getting off the field on third downs, and Desai deserves a huge amount of the blame for that, as his play calling in these crucial scenarios has been pretty terrible. And I actually do want to reference something from Outside the Birds on X, so shout out to him, he does great work, so make sure you guys go check him out. But he did an all-22 review of the Cowboys game, which I'm going to be referencing throughout this video, and one of the issues that he mentioned that really jumped out on film was Sean Desai's brutal situational play calling, saying, quote, "Desai's situational play calling continues to be an absolute killer on third down. He's dropping the defense into zone coverage on short situations, then he's blitzing in long situations where Dallas actually has quick outlets that Dak Prescott took advantage of." Honestly, those are all great points there, and I think if you've been watching these games and really paying attention, it's been obvious that Desai's play calling in these crucial third down situations has been a huge issue. And it even has the players confused at times, with safety Kevin Byard coming out right after the Dallas game and kind of calling out the DC for one specific fourth down play, which the Cowboys converted earlier in the game, saying, quote, "Coach was switching it up a little bit, playing some zone. Obviously, I'm not making the calls." You'd have to ask him what he was thinking exactly. I don't know if they checked to a run, but it was tough to defend that. Now, to be fair, 4th and 2 is still a likely conversion for the Dallas offense anyway, but I still think it speaks volumes that Byard is publicly questioning and kind of disagreeing with Desai. I mean, I'm sure he and many other players on the defense feel like they're not being put in the best positions to succeed with a lot of the calls that are being made, with that just being one example, and I think again, when you look at the Eagles' third down struggles, this becomes even more clear. And just overall, the defense is really struggling. I mean, again, the fall off from last year has been crazy, with this unit ranking near the bottom of the league in a ton of major categories, as they're 28th in points allowed per game, 30th in red zone defense, last on third down, as we've already said, 28th in pass defense, 31st in opponent touchdown to interception ratio, and 29th in opponent passer rating, which really makes you question, how in the world did the Eagles already win 10 games with the defense being this bad? And the unit has only gotten worse when you realize that their one strength, which was stopping the run, has actually turned into a weakness these past few weeks, and a big part of that is the defensive line, which just overall hasn't done their job this season, whether it be recently again against the run or rushing the passer, which is supposed to be probably the Eagles' biggest strength, but too often this season, we've seen the Eagles be able to get pressure, but not actually finish with the sack, or we've seen them just be able to not generate any sort of meaningful pressure at all. And it seems like the players are getting kind of pissed about it, with defensive end Josh Sweat coming out after the game being very emotional and animated, as he kind of went on a rant to reporters saying, quote, "We're not where we're supposed to be. Me personally, on my side, I feel I definitely could have been better, but it's too hard. I'm just not used to when we apply pressure that we don't take care of each other all the time. That's what we need to be better on. Too many escapes. I'm just not used to it. I'm used to rushing so well against good opponents. It's both ways. That's why I'm frustrated, you know? Obviously, I've got to watch the film, but I'm not used to our group not taking care of each other when it comes to pressure." And to add on to that, Sweat then apparently pulled a reporter away from the D-line corner of the locker room and continued on his rant saying, quote, "It's almost, and I'm sick of almost, but it's all of us. If I'm not getting pressure, I have to be sure I'm staying back and taking care of my gap. I'm tired of hearing you getting all these pressures and bleep like that, bleep all that. You know me, I'm always a free spirit, but it's piling up. And I feel like the season's slipping away from us and it's getting me upset. We've got to take care of each other." Man, that's a lot from Sweat there, but he's definitely not wrong in the slightest. I mean, the defensive line needs to finish. They need to get home, and especially with the back end struggling, getting pressures just isn't going to be enough. And I also agree that far too often we've seen the Eagles pass rushers be undisciplined in their rush lanes, and QBs are able to navigate and escape. And Outside the Bird said something similar in his All-22 review of the Dallas game, saying, quote, "I can understand Josh Sweat's frustration. Philadelphia's pass rush is incredibly undisciplined right now, where they're giving the QB too many lanes to step into or out of and evade any potential pressure. They're just going out there and trying to win one-on-one battles without an actual plan." And when you hear something like that and the frustration from Sweat and also just the amount of historic success that the Eagles were able to have last season, you have to wonder how much of this problem falls on coaching. I mean, the defensive line is just as, if not more talented than 2022's group, so there's no reason why they should be having this many issues. But that being said, what do you guys think? What's the cause of the defensive line struggles, and what do they have to do to fix it? Now, the defensive struggles are one thing, but the offense has had a ton of problems recently as well, and it seems pretty clear that changes need to be made. But based off some recent comments by Nick Sirianni, it kind of sounds like he's hesitant to do that. Then again, some other comments by Jordan Mailata tell a different story, as he revealed that Brian Johnson may finally be willing to change things up. So don't worry, we're going to get into that and a lot more in just a second here, but real quick, I want to say, if you're enjoying this video or finding it informative in any way, and you're part of the 75% of people that haven't done so already, make sure you go down right now, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other videos just like this when they're uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us. I mean, I get more people watching the videos, and you don't miss any other Eagles coverage just like this. And also, while you're at it, if you are enjoying this video, make sure you drop a like. I greatly appreciate it. It helps me out a ton. And now with that being said, let's get back into the video. So after the Dallas game, one report that kind of blew up was from reporter Derek Gunn, where he said that multiple Eagles players had told him anonymously that the Eagles offense is just way too predictable and that their pass routes take way too long to develop, which is something that we'd already been saying for weeks now. I mean, there's just no easy completions for Jalen Hurts in this offense, and if those routes don't get open or they take too long, oftentimes you'll see Hurts taking unnecessary sacks while waiting for something to come open. So clearly, something has to change. Now on Tuesday, reporters asked Nick Sirianni if he actually agrees with those comments from his players saying that the offense is too predictable, and what he said didn't sound too promising.
We obviously don't think so. As coaches, we'll continue to work on making sure that we're meshing things together. So we'll work like crazy on that. You know, there's different things that you want to do. You can't be predictable on anything you do. You know, and so like I said, we're working like crazy to complement our plays. So there is nothing. But you know, we'll look at everything, and during our self-scout, which we get every single week, to make sure we're not predictable and doing different things to hit all levels of the field.
I don't know, that kind of sounds to me like a whole lot of nothing, if I'm being honest. I mean, of course they're going to continue to work on it, and he did say there at the end that they want to hit all levels of the field, but so far they haven't really done that. I mean, if you just look at what kind of routes they've had these guys running, the players that came out and said these things, whoever they are definitely right. And again, even though Sirianni said here they're going to continue to work on stuff, I also doubt that a drastic change comes this late in the year, and his comments in the beginning basically saying he disagrees with the players that the offense is too predictable right now only support support that. But regardless of whether you actually think it's predictable or not, something else that could definitely help out a ton is if they would just run the ball. I mean, they ran it just 23 times on Sunday, and the stats show that that usually doesn't end well for Sirianni's Eagles, as when they run it more than 23 times in Nick Sirianni's tenure as the head coach, they've been 30-6 compared to just 3-8 when they don't. I mean, it's clear, Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni, please just run the ball. Speaking of Coach Johnson, Sirianni was asked if there was a chance he would take over play calling from Johnson to try and kickstart the offense, and this was his response.
No.
Okay, so it looks like BJ's definitely going to be the one calling plays for the rest of the year, and he better hope he figures it out, because the fans right now are pissed. Luckily, it seems like Brian Johnson is learning a lot, as Jordan Mailata recently revealed on sports radio WIP that after the San Francisco game, Coach Johnson took accountability for his poor play calling, and Mailata also said that he's learned a lot since then. And he also noted that Brian Johnson did a great job play calling against Dallas, but he explained, quote, "You can't win games when you turn the ball over, get silly false starts. There's been tremendous growth from Brian's side. We're just doing a terrible job at executing the plays he's called." Now, I partially agree with that. There was definitely a lot of execution errors on the part of the Eagles offense on Sunday, and I would say that definitely more so than the San Francisco game. That's what ended up costing the offense rather than the play calling. However, I still would like to see a little bit of a switch up in terms of the routes the receivers are actually running, because I'd like to see things develop a little bit quicker, and I think that would help the offense tremendously. But still, this is progress from the offensive coordinator, and it seems like the Eagles are really looking themselves in the mirror and trying to move in the right direction, because even though everybody in Philadelphia is acting like the sky is falling, that may actually not be the case. The Eagles still control their own destiny, they still have a lot of opportunities left, and Mailata tried to reassure fans of this on WIP radio, saying, quote, "The sky is not falling. Is it ugly right now? Yes, but the sky is not falling. Even Stevie Wonder can see it. This is all part of the process. It's truly part of the process, keeping the main thing the main thing." So hopefully Mailata's right and it's all just a part of the process, and they'll bounce back, they'll correct the issues, and they'll still be able to put together a run to get to the Super Bowl. But to do that, they're going to have to face this adversity and come through on the other side a better football team. Now, Jordan Mailata further revealed details about a fiery locker room meeting this morning, led by the Eagles captain, specifically Brandon Graham and Jalen Hurts, as they broke down the team before their lift, where Brandon Graham apparently had a lot to say, and he stressed sticking together through this adversity and finishing strong. And as AC on X said, if there's any two men I trust to right the ship, it's these two. Hopefully coaches listen as well. So hopefully the Birds take their message to heart and they come out this week locked in and ready for the Seattle Seahawks, and we're going to have plenty more coverage leading into that Monday night matchup and also beyond that. So again, if you don't want to miss any of that, subscribe and also turn on notifications. Also drop a like down on this video if you did enjoy it and want to show some support, and leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch a video recapping the Eagles' loss to the Cowboys, you can go check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.